Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Fan-Made Games. I really didn't think this would become a series, but you guys really loved it, and I decided to continue doing it because you continuously asked me to do some fan-made Crash Bandicoot games. So here we are today. So let's hop in and play some fan-made Crash games. Please don't be as bad as the last ones. Starting off, let's talk about the more boring games, meaning the 2D games, usually made in Flash or Game Maker or whatever else people could get their hands on 8 years ago. The first game we'll be talking about is the only 2D game I wasn't able to play and could only find videos on, called Crash of Chaos. And out of all of the games I played, it's really the game with the best graphics for any of the two-dimensional games. It looks crisp, the sound effects are great, though they are just ripped from the actual Crash game, and the animations are all fluent. There isn't much I can say since I can't actually play it, so what you see is really what I get to see too. Now, moving on to the games I was actually able to play, starting off with Cortex Conquest 2. Yeah, 2. I have no clue where 1 is, and I'm not gonna lie, I really don't care because this game is not that great. You play as Cortex, who's about to make his plan to rule the world, but before he can do that, Dr. Entropy comes in, tells Cortex he's gonna take over the world instead, and steals Neo Cortex. And now, you must go on an adventure to save her. You can jump on crates just like a normal Crash game, but you can also shoot your ray gun and throw bombs. But the controls are just overall bad, and there are a lot of blind mistakes in the game. See, here to blow up these iron crates, you need to use a bomb, and you can only get one of them. So I throw the bomb, and boom! It only blows up 2 of the 3 boxes. And now I can't get past them to finish the level. And even when I tried to jump and throw the bomb, it didn't make it up high enough to blow up the top crate. So now I'm stuck here with no idea how to beat the level. The other issue is the hit detection. It's really spotty. I can jump on an enemy and still take damage because I was too far from the center of the enemy, even though I'm still obviously landing on it. Plus, for some reason, the game kept changing aspect ratios. The menu was like this, the warp room was like this, the gameplay was like this, and for some reason, the cutscenes were like this. Why? But after dying over and over again and just starting to not care because the game really wasn't fun, I decided to quit. Best decision ever. Moving on to Crash Bandicoot Flash, this was a browser-based Flash game that had you go into warp rooms, get crystals and gems, and even fight a boss and get a new ability. It surprisingly is really well made, using animations from the game when getting a crystal or even moving while crouching. The game controlled really well except for when you're on ice, and the 5 different levels are all varied, giving you a grass level, a temple level, a boulder chase level, and more. I really enjoyed this one and even beat it 100%, getting all the crystals and gems that I could. I also want to point out this awesome glitch I found, which made it so whenever I broke a box, it stayed there, so I have like 100 out of 55 boxes. The game was supposed to be a full game with more levels, bosses, and abilities, but from what I can find, the author of the game gave up on it and is now doing something else with his time. And the last 2D game is actually a series titled Energon, created by Jump Button CM, but we'll talk a little bit about him more later on. The first game in the series controlled pretty bad. It was impossible to tell where you were landing because your feet were 3 times bigger than the boxes, but I guess the hitbox is at the tip of your front foot, so I started to understand where to land after a bit. And man, do you have to quickly understand where you land, because there are TNTs and nitros everywhere. Just look at this. Imagine doing this and not knowing where your hitbox is. And after a few levels like that, I was starting to get more into the game. But then we reached a driving level that was kind of pointless. There were almost no places where you needed to jump, and it just controlled itself. I felt like something cool was about to happen because the music changed, but then this happened. Yeah, and after that I shut down the game and moved on to the second one. Energon Part 2 continues to follow Crash as he tries to beat up Cortex again for attacking the island with Energon. and this one was a bit better. The controls felt nicer and telling where your hitbox is was a lot easier. The problem now was jumping, because most of the time the jumps are extremely large and it's hard to tell when you're reaching the end of a cliff because the hitbox isn't in the middle of your body. Now it's somewhere far off to the left. So you just gotta guess when the best time to jump is. Also, I got stuck in this thing twice, but after making my way through the level, I found myself in another place that caused me to quit. The Cortex boss. Not gonna lie, this boss is extremely unfair, and I still have no clue how to beat him. He travels around the screen shooting red blasts, and they're for the most part pretty easy to dodge. But when he shoots the third one, he's in this magical position that makes it extremely hard to dodge. Especially since you want to be near him, because I think this is the only time you can hit him. And even if you get past this part, he now shoots a green bullet straight across the screen, and you can't duck under it, and I could never jump over it no matter how many times I tried, so again, I just gave up. And I'm gonna be truthful here, I started the third game, but by that point I just didn't care anymore, so I died a few times and then I just stopped playing. Now that we got the boring stuff out of the way, let's move on to the 3D Crash games, and we have 5 to talk about today. So let's talk about the 2 I was actually able to play first, and then we'll move on to the 3 that are currently in development. The first game we're going to be talking about is the HD remake of Crash Bandicoot, which looks beautiful. You can travel around the first level of Crash Bandicoot and see some of the icons in HD, but breaking boxes and all that fun stuff isn't in the game yet. And there isn't even a model, it's just first person for me, but it looks breathtaking. The only issue I had with it was getting up these damn stairs. I could never make the jump, and half the time I fell off the side of the map while trying to make the jump, so I'd have to wait to respawn and then walk all the way back. In a video on the creator's YouTube page, you can find a more complete version of the level that isn't playable yet, but looks much better. More textures are in it, Crash has a model, and the whole level is pretty much complete. The creator of this game is currently working on a different game right now, but he stated once he finishes that one, he'll come back to finish Crash HD. And I can't wait to see what it looks like when it's done. But till then, well, let's talk about the next game. And oh boy, do I have a lot to talk about when it comes to this piece of junk. The next game is known as Crystals Forever, and when I first started playing it, all I got was this. Yeah, it made me want to throw up. But eventually I figured out if I unplugged my mouse, started the game, then plugged it back in, the spinning would stop, but God, did the controls not get any better. Crash walks like a retarded crab. Meaning I could be looking forward and holding forward, but he would decide to walk diagonally to the left or right. There was just no straight when it came to moving this guy unless I turned the camera to the side and walked sideways. Then he kinda straightened out, but guess what that means? I can't see anything in front of me, so jumps are still impossible to make. Just look. This is the first puzzle type thing in the game where I need to jump up these pillars and across to another to get a gem that opens a barrier. But these controls are so wonky I can't even manage to make the jump. So instead, I jumped up the side of the wall and walked around the barrier. Sadly, in the next area I couldn't do that, so I spent like an hour trying to make it across this platforming section sideways to open the barrier. And I finally did it to be rewarded with nothing. The next portal goes nowhere. Ugh. Thankfully, there's another part of the game I can play, but first I have to unplug my mouse, start the game, and plug it back in, and oh my god. How am I supposed to do this with horrible controls? And you know what? I didn't do it. After about an hour of trying and failing, I just quit. Simple as that, because I don't care. There's another part of the game to try anyways, but guess what? You'll never see it because I can't fix the spinning in this game by unplugging my mouse. So this is all you'll ever get to see. Wow, I wanted to shoot myself while playing that game. But thankfully we're done with it and we can finally move on to the in-development games that I couldn't get my hands on any demos for. The first of these games is a tech demo for, again, Crash Bandicoot HD. This was the one posted a few years back when people were hearing hints of Activision maybe making another Crash. and when this video came out, people went crazy thinking it was a new game. Sadly, not, and from what I understand, this is all we will be getting of this game, since it was just a tech demo, and no game based around it is currently planned, and it's too bad because it looks gorgeous, but I guess we can always just hope for a brighter future, especially with these next two games currently being worked on. This game is titled Crash Bandicoot Frost, and there isn't too much finished on it at the moment, but from what we can see, it's looking to be great. The first level the creator did and has posted on his YouTube channel is a recreation of the famous Crash chase levels, but this time with a demonic sliding shark from hell. And boy, does this look intense and awesome, even if the shark's mouth dehinges in like 10 locations. I would personally love to try this level out because it looks awesome, intense, and fun. On top of that, he also recreated a type of Crash Bash level where you fight 4 AI polar bears and try to push them off the side of the iceberg. And as someone who loved Crash Bash, seeing this in HD just warms my heart. I'd love to see this in his game as a boss fight of sorts, but besides those 2 videos he's posted, that's about all the work we can see. So let's move on to our last and final game to talk about today. This is Crystal's Wrath, created by our old friend from a while back known as Jump Button CM. He's graduated from 2D to 3D and brought a friend along. A personal friend of mine you may actually know called Pat Strikes Back. These two have teamed up to create a Crash Bandicoot game the fans will love, and a while back they started that journey and have recently stated they are starting the project over. Yeah, that's right. Everything you see here is from the prototype version of the game. In 2 videos that I will be posting in the description below, Pat and Jump Button talk about the original prototype game and what exactly was wrong with it and how they messed it up. But then go on to also talk about the new version of the game they're making that is way better in every way. Sadly, there's no content from the new version yet on their channel, but they have been saying and posting teasers that we'll be seeing content hopefully soon. And from just looking at the prototype, I really can't wait to see what the final game is like. On top of that, Pat is doing the music for the game, and he released some of the tracks that were going to be in the prototype of the game. And man, do they sound spot on like a Crash soundtrack. Just take a listen to a few. You see what I mean? This game is looking and sounding to be incredible, and out of all of the games I've talked about today, it is the one that I am the most excited for. But if you want to check out more on the game or the other games I played today, check in the description below for download links and YouTube channels. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. I just have to give a quick shout out to my Patreon supporters: Rob LaLiberty, Andre Drulard, Harry Martin, Ian Selch, Thomas Bethel, and the YouTubers Possum Gamer, Cray Trey, and The Game Plank. Thank you all for your support, it means the world to me.